are live with another episode of Comic Talk. It's that show brought to you by The Keeg where we talk about this week's new comic book releases. For those of you who don't know, New Comic Book Day is every Wednesday at your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you, support your local comic shops, pick up any of the new comics there every single Wednesday at your local comic shop. Doesn't matter whether they're Marvel, DC, Image Comics, IDW, Dynamite, Oni Press, whatever. All the comics come out on Wednesdays, and we are here every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Keeg Show to talk about everything that came out this week / everything that we could read in like 24 hours. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera, and again, if you're watching us live, you're watching us on youtube.com/The Keeg Show, or maybe you listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Wherever you are, however you're digesting us, like, comment, subscribe, follow. Let us know you're out there. You know, if you're watching us live, hop in the chat. If you're listening to us after the fact, write a comment, so on and so forth. It doesn't cost you much to support, but we appreciate your support however you're able to give it. But yes, it's me, your host, Dimithri Perera, and we got an amazing guest here for you today. You may know him as Virgo Blade. I know him as Virgo Blade, but also as Ethan. That's how an alias works, you know? Ethan, how's it going, man? Welcome back to the show.
I'm doing great. This was a strong week for comics, and that always makes me happy.
Strong week for comics, strong week for crossover content.
True.
What a...
Facts.
Yeah. For anyone who out there who doesn't know, there was the Spider-Man Superman crossover special that came out this week. Last month was the Superman Spider-Man crossover special. And they're both just an anthology of stories from both companies, Marvel and DC, pitting Spider-Man against Superman or with Superman, or their villains against each other, so on and so forth. And so I think are crossovers as historic to you as they are to me? Like, I feel like a Marvel DC crossover is maybe the biggest crossover you could do in fiction.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the same just because of these are the top two major superhero comic book publishers. It's not a question. You know, there are two titans. And so this feels like an epic historical thing that doesn't often occur. It's like people talk about it often. Oh, Superman versus Spider-Man, or Captain America versus Batman. But rarely the two have actually met. So whenever times like these happen, it feels like a special occasion.
Yeah. Were you here on the Comic Talk episode where we talked about Superman and Spider-Man?
I think I was on at least one of them, I think, because you know, there was the like Grant Morrison one, like I think that was like the second. So I want to say yes for like the Batman Deadpool.
Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always so excited by crossovers. Ever since I was a kid, crossovers, you know, are huge, right? Like the animated series, Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, when they finally crossed over.
Yes, world's finest.
Yeah, world's finest. Super excited. When Spider-Man and X-Men teamed up in the cartoon, super excited. And then there would be like random things of like the TGI Friday 90s sitcom block where like Urkel from Family Matters would hop into Step by Step, and I'd be like, I didn't know they could all do that, but I guess they could. And then he hopped
Worlds
into
collide.
Family Matters.
That was my multiverse of madness.
It's talk about world's finest, you know. But
we need that comic, like Urkel and like Step by Step. I feel like that would do numbers.
He crossed over in so many. It was Urkel and Step by Step. Urkel went on Full House. Urkel went on, I think, Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Well, few people know this, but Urkel is a Nexus being, so he can he can transcend time, universes. He can do it all.
I like how we're overcomplicating the fact that, like, I mean, they probably just all those sitcoms exist on the same Earth, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because there's nothing that insane that happens. Like, it's different for DC and Marvel because they have their own histories, and they are such forces, so that when they do kind of merge, it is a big deal. And also, and this is more of like a fanboy thing, but it would be interesting if someone did do like a truly shared universe of like a timeline of how all these things worked. I feel like the Wonder Woman, Captain America kind of touched upon it, in terms of like briefly going over like the history of things, but it's like, with World War II, with the JSA, with the Fantastic Four, like there are things that it would be interesting to see how these heroes interacted like throughout time.
Yeah. We're definitely going to be talking about Superman, Spider-Man, or actually, sorry, Spider-Man, Superman this week. Before we do, though, shout out to Ashwan231 Comics saying hello, excited to see everyone's picks and pickups this week. Yes, that's what we're here for. So, easy question for you. Between 1 and 10, how stacked? Let's do that. I'm trying to figure out a branding for this. How stacked was this week's new comic book day for Wednesday?
Let's see. Just in terms of quantity of quality, I'd almost give it a 10. I might want to knock it down to a 9 just because not everything was necessarily peak. But I mean, that's also an impossible task. But in terms of, in general, the quality, I'd say like 10, just because I was very excited for multiple comics that were coming. It's not like, oh, let me check this out, but I'm halfway interested. It's a lot of books came out that I was deeply invested in that I couldn't wait to read. So for that reason, I kind of want to give it a 10.
I feel like I'm with you. I would give it a 9, but only because I think 10 is impossible. The reason I say 10 is impossible because both companies, Marvel and DC, they spread out their big titles across the weeks. So you're never going to get absolute Wonder Woman and absolute Superman out on the same week. Like you're not going to get Cyclops series, Rogue series, and like Uncanny X-Men on the same day. It's going to be spread out. Maybe one day that day will come where for some reason just like crazy heavy hitters all on 1 week. So I would say officially a 9, but technically a 10.
Right. Emotionally a 10.
Yeah. There was some real big comics out this week.
Yeah. And that's why this did feel historic with the Spider-Man Superman crossover. Like it felt like, oh, this is a real moment in comic book history, on top of the Dakota Incident second printing. And you have Dan Mora drawing Static Shock, doing that cover. And that was something that I manifested. Like after the Dakota Incident came out, I'm like, I want Dan Mora to do the cover for it because obviously his covers sell like hotcakes. And I just want it for myself. And it happened. So that made me extremely happy.
Yeah. I'm looking through my comics and I'm trying to find the Static comic that I got. Yeah. The second printing Static comic from Dan Mora. A lot of great comics out this week. So, I mean, enough talking about like, a lot of comics. Let's talk about the actual comics that we read because that's kind of what the show is all about. And I know that there are a lot of comics and we have a lot to talk about. Do you want to go first with your list of comics this week?
Yeah, I'll go. So I got Spider-Man Superman, issue 1, Captain America, issue 9, The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 27, Cyclops, issue 3, Infernal Hulk, issue 6, Superman, issue 37, Justice League, issue 18, Absolute Flash, issue 14, Absolute Wonder Woman, issue 19, and that's it. That's all I got.
I mean, that's a good list.
Some heavy hitters. Yeah.
Also, just a side note, you call it Justice League 18. Do you like calling it Justice League or Justice League Unlimited?
I thought I said unlimited.
You did.
I meant to say unlimited.
But
well,
I mean,
Justice League Unlimited.
It is the only Justice League comic out right now, right? So like,
yeah,
it is essentially Justice League.
It is.
Like, you know,
But I do like to differentiate it. That's why in my mind I said it.
yeah,
But yeah, I because Unlimited is a different concept than
yeah,
just Justice League. So I do think that it is important, especially with it now being even more unlimited than ever before with villains coming in. So I understand kind of marking that differentiation.
yeah. That was a good list. I
Mhm,
think I read. There's a big overlap with our lists.
mhm,
So I also read Spider-Man, Superman. The collab between Marvel and DC. I also read Exquisite Corpses #12 from Image Comics. Justice League Unlimited issue 18, Absolute Wonder Woman 19, Absolute Flash 14, Detective Comics 1108, Superman 37, Amazing Spider-Man 27, Flash 32, Green Lantern 34. Yeah, yeah, I finished that one. Green Lantern 34, Cyclops 3, Rogue 4, Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity #1. That's not the cover. If you're watching this live, I should change that. That's regular Amazing Spider-Man. And then that was it. I didn't get to Captain America 9 or Infernal Hulk 6, but that was on my
mhm.
list.
Okay.
But like I say normally, doesn't matter whether I plan to read 10 comics or 100 comics, I'm always going to read 80% of what I my goal is. Um, So
Yeah.
uh you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to talk about this week. If anyone's out there watching us live, let us know what you picked up this week. Let us know what looks good, because we'd love to know your guys' opinion. Um, what was your pick of the week? We'll just kick
So
it off that
my
way.
my pick is Absolute Wonder Woman issue 19. I feel like it's been a minute since I chose Absolute Wonder Woman, and not because it hasn't been great. It's been consistently wonderful. Um, but I feel like when something is so great all the time, you kind of take it for granted. And so it's like you want to like raise up other stories. But honestly, like if I'm really being truthful, like I feel like with Zatanna and Giovanni and how that story was done and how every page was just a revelation. And I was just so appreciative of the artwork of Hayden Sherman and the way that the panels are constructed. Everything about it just made me happy. Like, I love the characters. I love seeing Zatanna and Giovanni's relationship, the father and daughter, in like this alternate world where they kind of get to be together because growing up it's like Giovanni was just always like dead. It's like he's always this father in the afterlife, burning, like not really alive, not really being able to be with his daughter. So to get to see a story where she essentially gets to save him was kind of beautiful in an unexpected way. And I'm like, I really need a Zatanna book, an absolute Zatanna book. Need that uh very, very badly. But yeah, I was just very impressed with also like the depth of emotion of how Wonder Woman has the gift of Aphrodite of beauty, but it's really a double-edged sword. How that actually chains her and imprisons her because she won't know if someone actually loves her or if it's because of her gifts. And it's kind of taking like with great power comes great responsibility in a different context because we don't really associate that with beauty, but that is a power, but also a burden unto itself. So I love approaches that interrogate concepts from a different perspective. And that's what I feel like this story did on many different levels.
Um, as you're talking about this issue, I'm reminded that there were so many things going on with this issue. Because like sometimes when we read so much and we like get to comic talk, we're like, I think to myself, oh, it was just the Zatanna Zatara Wonder Woman stuff. But I was
Mhm,
like, no, it opens up with Aphrodite
mhm,
and like so many different revelations in this issue. But like, yeah, the fact that like Aphrodite has put part of her essence into Wonder Woman, when she was born, that allows her to effortlessly, but not like too much, like
mhm,
force like people to love her, right? It's not like
mhm,
a forcing. She mentions that it's like easier
mhm,
to like to do that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like in a video game, like the buff. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the buff where it's like you can inspire people, right? Like that, like kind of in an RPG or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Wednesday Poll. Wednesday Poll is always right. No, Wednesday Poll's not always right, but Wednesday Poll is right about this. Hayden Sherman is becoming one of his current favorite illustrators. Yes,
Yeah.
Lex from Wednesday Poll was an amazing guest on Comic Talk back in the early years of Comic Talk. So shout out to Lex from Wednesday Poll. But Hayden Sherman is amazing, and Absolute Wonder Woman is easily the best Absolute title in his opinion. He says. So shout out to Wednesday Poll. It's always great to have you, and thanks for hopping in the chat. Absolute Wonder Woman is my favorite Absolute title, definitely. What I like about this, and something I noticed in Absolute Flash first, and now that I'm thinking about it, is that each of these Absolute titles are tackling like different aspects of the DC universe. So I realized in Absolute Flash this week that like they're doing all the science and scientist characters. Like any science character is going to be like in Absolute Flash because they name dropped Ray Palmer. And in this Wonder Woman, they're like all the magic characters, you know? Deathstroke doesn't need to pop up in Absolute Wonder Woman, right? Like, but Deathstroke is going to pop up in Absolute Batman because it's that corner. It's the assassin, ninja, secret spy, grotesque sort of experimentation corner of Absolute DC. So, I've been really happy with Absolute Wonder Woman. So
Yeah, it's been very dope. Also kind of random, but I love Giovanni's little suit. I don't know why that brought me, because like I'm so used to him being in like a magician's outfit.
yeah,
So him being in this almost like super suit thing, I'm just like, that's kind of adorable.
you saw Super Suit, but I saw like Sergeant Pepper's like Beatles kind of like inspired thing. Maybe Freddie Mercury has like an outfit that's like that. I was seeing like that, but that's
I can see
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different for Giovanni, and I like that because once again, the Absolute Universe can allow you to look at these characters in a different lens. Like I've never seen Giovanni like this, but I like this version.
Yeah. I want Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Zatanna to be happy together. You know?
Yes.
Am I a little jealous? Maybe. But also I'm happy for them, you know?
Yeah. There's definitely chemistry between them.
Yeah.
I'm like, get a room. Like Zatanna is she can barely control her. But once again, it's like it's also that Aphrodite thing. But then she's also Wonder Woman. So it's like you get it. It's that back and forth thing where it's like, and I love how they set that up earlier in the issue of that being the case with her beauty powers and compelling people, but also it clearly doesn't work for everybody because Veronica Cale hates her. So it also, I think, is. What's that?
Have they met in person?
No.
Ooh.
So I guess that could be a test, and Zatanna did like mention that, so that could alter things. But maybe it's more about like what's in somebody's heart. Like if they're like nasty spirited, perhaps they won't be affected by Wonder Woman. Versus if they have some goodness there, they're like, yes, please.
Also, different people express their love in different ways. In a bad way too, right? Like bad people express quote unquote love as ownership, right? And so like the idea that Wonder Woman, it isn't necessarily that she's beautiful, like it's more like her soul is beautiful to everyone, right? And like she can inspire people and she can attract people. Again, it's not in a necessarily horny way, but it's in a like it's Aphrodite, but like in your soul, you know?
Yeah, and that's really why I think, and I haven't fully explored this idea, but it's kind of been rumbling underneath the surface. But that's why it's like Aphrodite's design is like she's covered. You know, her physical form is somewhat exposed, but like her face is almost like nondescript. Because I do think that it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's more about like what the essence of the person is.
I didn't go down that like that is some great deconstruction, and I
Mhm.
hope that Deanna, shout out to Deanna, clips that for our clips. Um, I mean, I could talk about this series forever because there's so much to talk about with this. Like, just how fun Giganta is. Like, Giganta just seems like a fun character in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like, what is that lizard tail person in the prison? Like, there's like the cell right next to Giganta. There's like a lizard tail. But
Hmm.
if I didn't know Killer Croc was already in Absolute Batman, I would be like, oh, that's obviously Croc, but it's not. So I don't know. Um, I'm very excited for just like this series. I know it's gonna come to a head where like, yeah, she's not sure if somebody loves her or not, you know?
Hmm.
So that's number one. They have to have set that up for a reason. And then two, I wonder if Prime Earth Wonder Woman should technically have that same sort of gift, right?
Yeah. I feel like she should, because I don't see that big of a difference between, like, at least the like Greek pantheon, but between them. Even I believe that Kelly Thompson said that she was inspired by Historia. So not that it's a
Yeah.
one-to-one, but it's at least comparable.
Yeah. I mean, Wonder
Mhm.
Woman Historia, shout out. Oh, that one of the best
Gorgeous.
Wonder Woman pieces ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Transcendental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Shout out to Curly Insane Guy saying late. I actually read all my comics this week. That if you can 100% your comics for this week, then good on you. You know?
That's a life goal. So congratulations on fulfilling
Yeah.
that.
Um Shout out to Mr. Alkebulon. We can't go over like too much off topic off of our reading list and like the comics that came out this week. But shout out to Mr. saying just found you guys, how y'all doing? What do you guys think about indies bringing their characters to something like TV or streaming? I'm trying to like abridge some of the stuff. Black owned cinematics distribution channels. Oh, okay. Need some animations out here, few I think of. So, um, yeah, I don't know whether we have time to go over all that, um, but I don't know, Ethan, if you caught any of that.
Yeah, I feel like in theory, I'm here for it because to me it allows for more visibility. And of course, if you can translate the story well, the more power to them. It's like the thing about indies is like we don't want to keep them like hidden. Like yes, we love hidden gems, but also at the same time, the more eyes that are on it, the better that it does, then the more likely that we'll have more of it. So I'm all for like that transitioning between mediums.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, the idea that indies, if the contract is done right, indies should be creator owned, right? And
Hmm.
that is something that Image Comics does. Image Comics as a whole cannot go to like Netflix and be like, you get our whole library of comics to make live action stuff. But the
Hmm.
creators can, or Image can bridge that gap with negotiations to connect a creator with a distributor or streamer, right?
Hmm.
But like Mark Millar is now, he used to be at Image, now he's at Dark Horse, and he's he works on trying to get his stuff made. But then you also got like James Tynion, who's at the Tiny Onion imprint of Image Comics. You got Robert Kirkman doing his thing with Amazon, but he's at Image Comics.
Hmm.
But he can do, they can go wherever they want. So definitely need more like indie adaptations because there's a lot of content out there, and a lot of
Hmm.
it would really resonate. I personally think that like, and I'll touch on it. It's not my pick of the week, but Exquisite Corpses, if it isn't already tapped for a live action adaptation, it seems like it's set up to do that. My pick of the week, oof. I think my pick of the week is going to be Flash issue 32. And something I liked about last month is that they kicked off a lot of new story arcs for all these DC comics, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so this is just issue 2. I mean, this is Flash 32, but like issue 31 was the start of this post DCKO story arc.
Hmm.
And it's been a really cool premise. This is Ryan North writing this new sort of run. I always like saying run when it comes to Flash comics because it's just very punny, but it's like it's his run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But basically the premise is that like somebody online is doing social media challenges to get people to put themselves in danger as long as they catch the Flash saving them, and then they can win a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
like on social media. And so everybody in Central City is putting themselves in like crazy danger. Like a lady is mixing chemicals in her toilet so it will explode, but Flash will hopefully save her. The Flash though is getting what he calls flashes of insight, which are brief glimpses into the future,
Mm-hmm.
so he can see certain things. The problem is there's too many people putting themselves in danger that he is not able to get to everybody, because like the Flash is fast enough, but he's not all knowing, right?
He's not omnipresent.
Yeah, like I mean he could try to be everywhere all at once, but he doesn't know where to be. So in this issue, um what we reveal is Captain Cold. We like Ryan North really gets Captain Cold and Wally's relationship, which is they're not necessarily antagonistic, but they're like, I don't want to say frenemies, but like frenemies is closer than enemies to
Mm-hmm.
their relationship. And so Captain Cold is like, yeah, there's something going on with this whole challenge thing. And Wally's like, oh yeah, I talked to the guy who's running the challenges. And he's like, no, it's something else. Basically, long story short, somebody is building a bomb, but using the cover of the social media challenges to
Mm-hmm.
kind of mask the buying the equipment and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been really good. I can't recommend this Flash run enough. Ryan North, who normally writes Fantastic Four, I think he is writing Fantastic Four
Mm-hmm.
over at Marvel, is also writing The Flash, and it's very science based, and it's just I love The Flash that's science based and not like cosmic based.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I'm reading his Fantastic Four. That's why I'm looking forward to reading his Flash because I love the science in it. Like I love super science in general. Like give me the complicated terms and figuring out problems and solving equations. So I really want to see how he adapts that to the Flash world. So haven't started that yet, but I'm planning on doing it soon.
It's the little things that Ryan North does, like a bunch of kids jump off a building because they're trying to get it on camera that Flash is going to save them. But Flash like sees them jumping and he's like, the kids are jumping, they're getting a running start on the building, so they're not falling down. And they're falling too far away from the building to like run up. So he's like, if only they didn't take a running start, like it'd be a lot easier to save them. But he has to do this like run up, kick off kind of like
Art.
no, I remember. I won't tell you what he does.
Okay.
You got to read it though, because
Mhm.
I feel like I'm the only person talking about Flash right now.
Mm. Yeah, I'm definitely going to catch up because I have to still finish Impulse Point, and then I'll go on to Rhino North.
I mean, that was
Mm.
good too. You know.
Yeah, I love Bart Allen, and so I've been enjoying that story, and I feel like I'm also going to enjoy Ryan North. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I weirdly enough, I'm a big fan of the Flash family. Weirdly enough, these two issues have really not had the Flash family in it.
Mm.
Not to say they don't have Wally West family. Wally West family's in it, but like
Mm-hmm.
the whole Flash family's not in it. It's not a Flash family book, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with it because it's such a compelling story that he doesn't need them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
And
just
I think kind
been
of
an exciting book.
starting smaller and then growing out, if he does do that, also makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Man, it's so solid. It's so
Mhm.
solid. Shout out to everybody out there chatting in the chat. Um, uh, Mr. Alkelbulon says, imagine one with cinematic work like Primal. Oh, Primal the cartoon. If an indie comic got made into like a cartoon like Primal, yeah, yeah. And shout out to Curly Insane Guy. Things to come variant. Uh, yeah. Sorry, a lot of it's hard to read as we're talking about stuff. Anyway, I want to let's talk about the elephant in the room. We touched on it a little bit earlier. Crossover collaboration that's been decades in the making.
Mhm.
It's not so often that Marvel gets to team up with DC. Every so often they do, but they've been doing it a lot recently. But what I learned from this issue, basically, we're talking about Spider-Man, Superman, big old crossover collab. It's been 50 years since the Spider-Man, Superman crossover comic from like back in the day, um, is what they're saying.
Mhm.
50 years.
Mhm.
76?
I'm terrible at math, but yes.
I think 1976 was the last time they had a sole Superman Spider-Man crossover. They've
Hmm.
met roughly in between, but
Hmm.
like as far as that's concerned, 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about this one. Again, it's another anthology book. It is a other side of the coin when it comes to like Superman Spider-Man that came out
Hmm.
last month. How do you feel about this one?
I really loved it, all mainly because of the historic aspect of it, but also I realized that I think this was that main story was by Brad Meltzer
Yeah,
and
and Pepe
Pepe
Larraz.
Larraz, yeah. And I feel like now that I think about it, I don't think that I've read Brad Meltzer. I'm not sure if he's done other comic stuff
I mean, you want to
until
know?
well, his Justice League run. I feel
Okay.
like that was the last thing that I read of his. And I'm like, that was a
Ooh.
while ago. So this was like my reintroduction to Brad Meltzer. So I was very curious about what he was going to do. Because to me, he was always the kind of like secret identity guy, like the heroes as people. That was kind of his forte, at least back then with Identity Crisis and then his Justice League run. So I was curious about how he was going to handle like Clark and Peter, and I feel like he did a really good job. Um, I like that it started in the middle of the conflict. It felt very like short story, and kind of the thing with short stories is that you kind of begin towards the end because you don't have, the length of time to, oh, beginning, middle, end. So like you begin in like the third act. And so it throws you into it and they're working together and you're figuring it out as they're trying to figure it out. And I love how they kind of like lift each other up and it shows that even heroes need support as well. Um, yeah, so I thought it was a lot of fun. The other stories were like very good too for the most part. I liked Supergirl and Spider-Gwen. Like I like that they were combative.
Yeah.
Like in like a friendly like competition type of way, but like not everybody's gonna like get along. And I enjoyed that it was very much like a tit for tat and not because I also like different relationships. Like not everyone is gonna be best friends. So the fact that they were kind of like a bit argumentative was really fun. But yeah, just to me, it was a very good time. I enjoyed the stories. Also, have to shout out Miles Morales Spider-Man meeting Superman. That was very cool, and I love Superman giving him advice and treating him with respect, and just also Miles looking up to him because you get that sense of respect from Miles whenever he like meets an icon. That's why I relate to characters like his is because you have such an adoration for what they do. So to actually be in the presence of say Superman, you would be fanboying out. So yeah, this was just a really fun issue. I want them to do more of them. The stories were exciting, and yeah, this was a really good time.
I I'm I have it in my hand right now and I'm looking through it, and so the DC one was Superman, Spider Man, a bunch of short stories. This one was Spider Man, Superman, a bunch of short stories. The way I understand it is that like Spider Man, Superman, Marvel gets to create or pick the creative teams, and then
Hmm.
the DC one they get to pick the creative teams. And a lot of the creative teams were picked because of their relationships to these characters.
Hmm.
And so I thought that was like really interesting. I do also think it's really interesting because I like Brad Meltzer. So shout out to Brad Meltzer if you are watching this show. I do like Brad Meltzer a lot, and you know, it was controversial, but like I do like Identity Crisis.
Hmm.
Um, um, it was tough to read, but I do like it. I do think it was interesting. He was the headliner essentially in this
Hmm.
because yeah, I can't remember the last time like he wrote these characters, right?
Yeah.
Pepe Larraz did art for Spider-Man recently,
Hmm.
so that makes sense. But other than Brad, the other stories were pretty much headlined by people who have written those characters a
Hmm.
lot. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because Brian Michael Bendis did the Miles Morales story, and that was to me one of the stronger ones, probably for that reason.
Yeah. Stephanie Phillips did the Spider Gwen Supergirl one.
Yeah,
Um,
she killed it.
yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
I think it's funny that they were antagonistic. The Spider Noir Golden Age Superman story was like a very kind of inspired idea.
Hmm.
Um, I could also something I noticed, and I want to know your opinion on this. I feel like they were trying very hard not to do like the black characters on both sides together sort of story. But
Hmm.
then, in my opinion, I would have liked to see that, but I think they were trying hard to not do that. Um, did you feel that way?
Yeah, I kind of felt that too, and I feel like you can like do both. Like have the black characters we want to meet up. Like I want to see Miles and Virgil and Static. That's a thing that has to happen. Um, because they match up. But also it's like I'd be cool with, Steel and Iron Man. So it's like it's a case by case basis. Like not everyone like, oh, just match up the blacks. Like not saying that, but like if it makes sense for the story, then do that. So I feel like they in general need to do more of that a bit more. Like for example, I also feel like they need to do a Wonder Woman Storm slash Storm Wonder Woman. Like they are the top two superheroines of their universes, and there's really no reason not to put them together. Like Absolute Wonder Woman is still selling extremely well. Storm is like the female superhero from Marvel that's been in the most comics like ever. So yeah, I just feel like let's branch out in terms of black characters, in terms of female characters, and give them those spotlights.
I like the Miles Superman story. I just thought it was funny. Steel and Thor only because they have a hammer. Like that's the only similarity between the two.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Because I like both characters, so I didn't mind it that much. But I'm not. It's like their relationship with their hammers are very different. It's like Steel like builds his and Thor's is a magical thing, and not say that they don't have their own connection to it, but it's a bit of a superficial thing, maybe even more so than being black. So
Yeah.
so they might have missed the mark. But once again, I enjoy both characters. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'll take it. And
Yeah.
also just having Steel there. Like because I want these characters to also be in these specials. And the previous ones didn't do the best job of incorporating black and people of color. So
Yeah.
I at least appreciate this one for having more.
Um, because somebody pointed out the Superman Unlimited cover from last week had Steel on the cover, did not have Steel in the issue.
Hmm.
So it is, nice to see Steel. Steel is again, maybe I'm a '90s kid. Maybe I like maybe I just like Steel. I have a Steel action figure literally like right up there. Um, I just love Steel, so I hate it when he gets left off. Curly Insane Guy says Todd Knock's art for Hobgoblin versus Steel was really good. Shout out to Rochelle Rosenberg being the colorist for both that story and Moon Knight this week.
Mm.
Curly Insane Guy's pick of the week was Moon Knight. So,
Nice.
yeah. I do think the story was cool though. Louise Simonson wrote it, and so
Hmm.
talk about like a legend in the industry. Um, Louise Simonson and Todd Knock did the art. So,
Yeah.
not complaining about that story. I just thought it
Yeah.
was funny. They got hammered. Like who do we put together? They got hammers.
Like
Tony
I'll
Stark,
take it.
Tony Stark and John Henry Irons would be a cool character study because
Hmm.
one is an arrogant asshole and the other
Yes.
one is so down to earth. And Though I do think it might be a little controversial if you do that character study showing how, like, I don't know. I think it's indicative of something, you know?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and that's really why I want to do it, because there's a reason why I can't connect to Tony Stark, and there's a reason why I can connect to John Henry Irons. Not to say Tony Stark is a bad character; each person has their own thing, but I just have a hard time. And I'm reading the current Iron Man run, and I'm really enjoying it. At the same time, it's like what I feel for John Henry Irons and what he's been able to persevere through in his own industrialist way, is to me a lot more inspiring than what Tony Stark does. So yeah, that would be a very interesting character study, and that's what I feel like the purpose of these stories are, is to interrogate these ideas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just thought to myself, John Henry Irons with Tony Stark's personality would just be a bad guy.
Basically, yeah. Um, Although I will say this interesting. It's not the exact one to one, but Batwing, Luke Fox, how he's written in Detective Comics run by James Tynion.
Mhm.
I love that he is like Bruce the Playboy, but that's like really him.
Yeah.
But he still has this like he loves tech, he loves saving people, but he also like loves the ladies. He likes going out, and that is just such a fascinating character study of taking that persona, because he is like a privileged kid, like being the son of Lucius Fox, and I love that there's almost like this Bruce Wayne is real for him. And I wish that characters like him were able to continue, because there's so much to explore with that. But when you mentioned kind of John Henry Irons as Tony Stark, it made me think of Luke Fox as Bruce Wayne. It's a
Mhm.
very kind of comparable situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. Yeah. Oh man, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole in this one.
Yeah.
Quick question before we move on from this. Basically with these new crossovers, the Deadpool Batman, Batman Deadpool, Spider-Man Superman, etc. With the Flash, Fantastic Four, Infinity comic, I think, and like all these recent Marvel DC crossovers, they've essentially thrown out the idea of like continuity. They don't need two characters coming into from different universes being like, what universe am I in
Mhm.
now?
Mhm.
They're all being written essentially as their own standalone stories, but also
Mhm.
being written as they both exist in the same universe. These are stories that take place on an Earth that Marvel and DC both cohabitate. Do you
Mhm.
like that, or do you like them being separate universes?
I prefer it in terms of an anthology, because we can't every single story be like, "Oh, what Earth are you from?" Then that's like half of the page work, and then we'll have like one page of like action or whatever. So, like, I think that the structure necessitates it to be this way. At the same time, kind of like what I mentioned earlier, it would be cool if there was a story that does inspect what it would be like if these universes were actually merged, and what that would actually look like. But different time, different place. For this, I'm fine with them just like getting on with the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
I'm with you.
mhm,
Dang. I like this one. I need to reread the other one that came out last month and then figure out which stories I like better.
mhm,
Because they do reference that in this issue that Jonathan Kent and Ben Parker would have been friends, and
mhm,
then in last
mhm,
month's Superman Spider-Man, you do get a flashback story of Ben Parker and Jonathan Kent being younger, like teaming up to like I say teaming up, they're just humans, but like they're helping people from a tornado and like a
mhm.
natural disaster. And I thought like that is cool, you
Yeah,
know?
those like almost incidental connections. That's what's cool about these stories, is that even though they are separate, they also coexist in a weird like multiversal way.
Yeah.
Mhm,
I like to think that this Earth is the shared Earth between two overlapping multiverses that
mhm,
like share one universe in common, you
mhm,
know?
mhm.
Um I just think man, okay. I just love comics. What am I gonna do? We're running out of
And-
time, but like I love. Something I want to mention is that like both Superman, Superman, Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, Superman came out this week, but then both companies were like, oh, let's also release the comics that have to do with those characters this week. So like
Hmm.
Spider-Man had Amazing Spider-Man 27 and Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity, and then Superman had Superman 37,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And you know, and Justice League 2 and whatever. But like their very specific characters got their titles out this week. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Let's hop over to Marvel. You read Amazing Spider-Man 27, the end of the Death Spiral crossover?
Yes, I did. I really enjoyed Death Spiral a lot. I feel like it was a really good vehicle to explore this kind of like symbiote war. Torment was an interesting villain antagonist going after Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson and Eddie Brock's families. It had this like intensity that kept ramping up with every issue, and I feel like the ending pretty much nailed it. The whole like Spider Carnage was a very dope design and concept, and Peter having to fight that off, and also him like using hope of being like, oh, I'm gonna hold this Carnage entity and like pull him into me. I'm a sucker for it for stuff like that because that is like, and the point of it is this, like the moral of the story. So I was very impressed with this. Also, maybe surprisingly, but Mary Jane Venom to me, she really shined because I love that she doesn't just feel like she's following after Peter. She's making her own moves. She has her own opinions, and I almost feel like she's thriving in this era. And once again, like I'm not a hardcore Spider-Man fan,
Yeah.
like in terms of like knowing the whole like history.
Yeah.
I am a very big fan. I've read the comics, but not crazy hardcore. So I don't know the lore like I do with Batman.
Yeah.
But I can kind of like pick up how people feel about certain things and about like Mary Jane. And it's almost like a love-hate type of thing, depending on, of course, the like writer and how she's written in general. But I feel like it's almost like Selena needs Catwoman. And of course there's Felicia Hardy, but for this situation, Mary Jane. So I almost feel like with her personality, she probably needs a vehicle where she can express herself in a way that makes sense for what she's doing. And to me, like as Venom and her being very hardcore about Eddie Brock, I'm like, wow, she's really not backing down from her stance. And that was very like impressive to me that they didn't have her like, oh, just obey Peter. Like she's like going toe to toe with him. Like she believes in what she stands for in protecting people. And I'm like, this to me really allowed her to shine. So that part stood out to me in Death Spiral.
I first thing I love I loved this Death Spiral crossover event storyline, right? It's 9 issues. It was in, it was out, it was multiple issues a month, but like it kept everything kind of really concise and really tight.
Mhm.
I love Mary Jane as Venom. It's weird. Maybe it's a hot take, but like I'm okay with that. I like Mary Jane being different than Peter. She's not just Peter's girlfriend or the girl that Peter likes, but like, yeah, why would she? The people around her or around Peter don't have to have the same belief system of thou shalt not kill.
Mhm.
Like, so, I mean, spoiler for anyone who wants to like fast forward like a minute or so. Essentially, spoiler for the end of this issue is that, yeah, Mary Jane Venom, I want to say that together. Mary Jane Venom drops Torment off the roof, and because he's goading her, he
Mhm.
is he is goading her, and I'm like, this guy deserves it. He's like, it's only like I'm just gonna come back and I'm gonna get out. I'm just gonna kill everybody, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, drop him off a building. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
like I don't like. What are you gonna do?
Mhm.
Like Peter won't, because
Mhm.
Peter almost feels like he has to suffer. Like I feel like he needs that.
Mhm.
But like other characters, like nah, like you're not gonna, you don't have to, subscribe to that. So Torment dies. I thought he was cool, but I thought also he
Mhm.
served his purpose. He had a
Yeah.
cool, kind of
Y-
story.
Yeah. He was good for this arc, and I think it's sometimes good to like not overuse characters. Like some villains can just be for like this time, and also Mary Jane reminds me of Karen Page in Daredevil Born Again. And
Mm.
it's interesting that like they're both in that same situation for those watching Daredevil Born Again. You know, Daredevil brings Bullseye back to their base, and Karen wants him gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I just kind of love how these women who are like nurturers and like softer are like, no, we need to X out this guy. Like, and
Yeah.
like it's the guys who are like, oh no, we have to be good. And there's something almost like inspiring about that, that they don't have to be these kind of carbon copy ideas of who people think that they are. They have their own beliefs and their own like moral system. And Mary Jane, like, you know, doing what she did, at least for right now, she does not have that guilt. Similar to
Yeah.
Karen, who said, like, yes, she has haunting nightmares of what she did to Wesley, but she doesn't regret it. And it's like Matt would be someone who was haunted by it and regretted what he did, but not everybody's Matt. So who's to say that that person's way is wrong?
Matt also is someone who likes to suffer. Like
Mhm.
he, you know,
Catholic guilt.
it's the Catholic guilt thing, right? So I can't blame the people for having their moral code.
Mhm.
But I think that everybody has a different moral code, right? Like,
Mhm.
and like I think like sympathy can only go so far. I think like when certain heroes are fighting, let's just say supremacist groups,
Mhm.
I don't know whether that supremacist group or that character or that villain in there like is going to rehabilitate themselves. So
Mhm.
I don't know what you're gonna do with that. So it is what it is.
Mhm.
Um, I like this. Also, I knew that they were gonna do something. Torment can like supernaturally see your like genetic family tree, like,
Mhm.
and so in the previous issue or 2 issues ago, he does track down like this random guy in a bar, and he calls him like Peter Parker's cousin or something. And then
Mhm.
in this, the guy, and I don't know if he's good or bad, the epilogue of this was the guy being like, I'm gonna do some genetic, like I'm gonna look into my family tree, or I'm gonna test my, do a DNA swab or whatever. 23 and me, because supposedly Spider-Man's his cousin, and he doesn't know. He was like, oh, Spider-Man's my cousin. Who is my cousin? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I was curious about where that's going to go and
that was
where
kind
he's
of a
going to
cool
end
thing.
up. Yeah. Yeah. That is like it continues the story, but in a different direction. It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I want to talk about a book that I read. You didn't get to read. Are you reading Exquisite Corpses at all?
Not yet, but it's on my list to read.
So I'm gonna. Oh, I can't. I'm not gonna talk spoilers then, because I want you to enjoy it. But
Mhm.
you know the premise of Exquisite Corpses by Image Comics.
Mhm.
You do. You know the
Yeah.
premise. Okay.
Mhm.
So for anyone out there, it's a bracket style tournament between like assassins and killers. They shut a town down and then they release the killers in there, and the last killer standing wins. The person who had hired that killer wins, essentially. There's more to the story than that. There's a secret, group of people who run the country and run the world, and they have different killers fighting on their behalf to see who runs the country next. Um, Huge twist at the end of this issue. Shout out to James Tynion, the fourth. Shout out to all the creative team, the writers and the artists and whatever. Um, uh, did not see that one coming, because I also thought that this was going to be the final issue. There's a 13th issue. So
Mhm.
part of the built-in twist, there's a twist, and it's one more issue. Like, it was really cool. I don't want to spoil anything, but
Okay, so it's going to end on the 13th issue.
on the 13th issue.
Okay, cool. Because I like to read, and I told you this before, because that's what I did with Dark Patterns. Is like with miniseries and stuff to like wait till it's done and then read the whole thing. And that's why when I read Dark, because I feel like throughout the whole year, you guys have been telling me to read Dark Patterns. And I'm like, I am. Then I read it, and I read it all at once, and I'm so glad that I did, because that experience was so fulfilling of getting that whole full story. And so that's what I want to do with Exquisite Corpses.
I mean, for Exquisite Corpses, at this point, I would say read it all in a trade, right? In
Hmm.
Dark Patterns, at least it was like a story every 3 issues was one
Hmm.
story. And like, I thought that was cool to read as it was going along. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend that with Dark Patterns, though, it's past. What is past is past. But like
Yeah.
Exquisite Corpses, yeah, I think wait for the trade, but it's not going to come out for another like 6 to 8 months.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, with Dark Patterns also, it's Batman, and I already read like a lot of Batman, so this kind of helped me to like differentiate it of like, okay, now this is Dark Patterns, and I get to live in this world versus going from Dark Patterns to Detective to Batman to Absolute. It's like I can carve that space to just be like, now I'm in Dark Patterns. So
Yeah,
it's a case by case basis.
yeah. I got the hardcover for Dark Patterns, and so
Nice.
I love the feel. I've been getting into hardcovers lately. No, I used to be, because I used to be cheaper than I am now, and so now I'm like on the very specific like trades. I'm like hardcover.
Yeah.
Robin and Batman Batman and Robin year one. I got it in a hardcover, and I'm like, chef's kiss.
Nice.
Yeah. Also, I don't think you read Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity.
That was the one that I wanted to read, but I didn't get to. I'm like, if I can get that in as a buzzer beater, but I couldn't get to it.
That's fair. It was fun. It was fun. Because dare I say, Peter's not in it, and it's kind of nice to have a Spider team book with no Peter, because Miles steps up as the leader,
and that's why I wanted to read it, and I am gonna read it. Yeah, so that was like a big draw for me. Is like I'll read Miles in anything.
Yeah. I think that also it was funny because all the Spider, it's Spider-Versity because it's Spider-Verse, but it's also Spider like University, even though there's no multiverse stuff in it, but like it's a university, and so in a way, and I think it's interesting, like Miles is kind of like top dog here, but also that Silk is on the team, and I'm like, Silk is a lot older than everybody. But they do mention that she is older, but she is stunted. Like she's like socially stunted, right? Because she was in a
She was held back.
Yeah, exactly. She's the super senior. Silk is the super senior of Spider-Versity. You can quote me on that. Curly Insane Guy says Spider-Man one more relative in reference to the reveal at the end of Amazing Spider-Man. One more relative. Yeah. Speaking of relatives, Shocker died, and they also insinuate that Shocker is a relative of Mary Jane.
Yeah, that was an interesting reveal, and then like quick death.
They didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fine. I wanna as we're closing up, get back to some of the comics that you read this week. Let's talk about the two that you read without me. How rude. Captain America #9. It was on my list and I didn't get to read it, but how are you liking it?
I love Captain America, the series, so much. It to me is my favorite Marvel comic book currently out, and this continues it. I just love the political angle. I don't want to spoil it for you since you are reading it, but
did something big happen in it?
You'll have to read it.
Okay. You're like, Steve dies. And
right, yeah, he's dead.
Steve has a child, and then he dies.
Right. Okay, but what I will say, because this is kind of from previous stories, is that I love the tragedy of Marius Wolf becoming Salvation. Like I didn't see it coming, and I love twists that make sense that are also like painful, because like we saw him in the first arc with him and Steve, and he's this rebel fighting for a cause, and it shows how like that can also harden you and make you cold, and then you end up becoming the enemy that you're trying to destroy. And there's something really tragic about it, and it hasn't explored it fully yet in the story, but I'm hoping that it eventually does, because just the premise itself is very tragic, and I'm sure it's painful for Steve as well to have worked with him of trying to take down Doctor Doom, only for him to become like Doctor Doom. And I just love the political angle. Also, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I just love that they're incorporated into this story, but also how, once again, like Captain America does what he believes is best. He is not the government lapdog, and him going out on his own and doing things that are not approved, that's all I'll say about that, is very inspiring, because he's a man that is a believer in doing the right thing, no matter how hard it is, and who he has to align himself with. And that to me is a very endearing quality for him to look at these people and want freedom for them. And it comes from such like a real place that he's willing to put his life on the line. So yeah, just all around love this comic so much.
This is Zdarsky, right?
Yes, Chip Zdarsky.
Chip is doing such a good job on this series.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like the closest to political thriller. Mm-hmm. Like if you are a fan of Captain America Winter Soldier, right? Like people talk about Captain America Winter Soldier all the time. This is the series for you.
Yes. And you know what? You put that perfectly, because I can watch Winter Soldier over and over, and it is perfection to me. I love that movie so much. And that explains why I love this series, is because it feels spy, thriller, political, also very cinematic.
Yeah.
And that is why it has that same energy. And I love spy stories in general. Like anything spy, I'm probably gonna check it out. So yeah, that's why like this is just hitting all the markers for me. Because as I've said, like my two favorite areas of Marvel is like the spy thriller Captain America's, and the street level of like Daredevil. Like those are my like two favorites. So when those are operating at high levels, I'm ecstatic.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily my favorite corners of Marvel. My favorite part of Marvel will always be the X-Men. Like,
well, that goes without saying.
Oh, does it? Okay, because
yeah.
The mutant corner of Marvel is like my favorite.
Yeah, like X-Men is I guess what I meant outside of X-Men, because X-Men is,
there has to be an asterisk there.
Right, asterisk, because X-Men was like my first introduction to Marvel. Like when I was like in my hardcore DC upbringing, I was still watching X-Men and everything, and then it was Spider-Man, and then it was Captain America, but it started with X-Men. So yeah, so those technically are then the three areas.
Yeah. Damn, man, I love comics. Okay. I need to read this issue. I also need to read Infernal Hulk, because I'm all caught up except for this issue. And it's funny because I'm not a Hulk fan, but tell me about Infernal Hulk 6. We do have to like pick up the pace a little bit on each of the ones that are left. But Infernal Hulk number 6, you read it, I didn't read it.
Yeah, so this was also, I've been loving this series. Much like you, Hulk isn't my favorite, but as I've said before, I love the like horror aspect of it. It almost reminds me of Swamp Thing. In this one, Tony Stark goes in a Hellbuster suit, which is also, I'm a sucker for like upgrades and suits, so like that's always gonna get me. And it's like, yes, to face a monstrous eldritch horror creature, he would have a Hellbuster suit. The fight is epic. They have to go to extreme measures. It's a government program that's watching it, and it's like the fate of the Earth is dependent on this battle. And I love how high stress it is. Like you feel the impact of every hit and how much this is going to cost. And you're also like, how are they going to win? And whenever a story does that, that's what Absolute Batman does so well, of like, how's he going to get out of this? I love that feeling. And that's what this issue did.
This series is also really interesting because, again, it knows what genre it is. And its genre is like demon horror, right? And it's like the Infernal Hulk. It's not just your like Bruce Banner. It's not Bruce Banner for starters, but like it's another type of demon type Hulk. It is very, very eldritch, elder gods, Cthulhu, Lovecraftian. And it's grotesque. It's gross. It's just a gross
in a beautiful way.
In a beautiful way. Yeah.
Like the art is so stunning. It's like, because me, it's like I have a different approach to horror than most people. Like it doesn't scare me. So I have to find new ways into it. And so stories like this really grab me.
Okay, cool. You didn't read did you read X-Men comics this week?
What X-Men comics came out?
Like Cyclops. Did you read Cyclops?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's talk real quick about Cyclops, then we'll move to Rogue, then we'll wrap up on a couple other series. But yeah.
This was good. I like seeing Scott Summers having to use his wits, his strategy in order to figure out a situation. He's very much on the back leg in this, but Also love his connection with May, the mutant girl that he's like working with, and like his trick to like fight off mind control, at least at like a low level thing. Like small stuff like that really makes it feel like world building, because it's not just the big major things that happen of like, oh, Scott would know something like that, and him teaching it to a mutant who really wishes that she was a part of this bigger community of being in Krakoa. It's like him giving that to her felt real, of like, this is what you do during those situations. And of course, she is applying it really to herself, which also adds another layer of context. So I loved how personal this felt despite the high stakes.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're referencing Krakoa, and
Mhm.
that's nice. Also, we kind of get just because I'm a sucker for continuity, we kind of get a reference to the fact that like she mentions that she was in junior high and she wanted to go to Krakoa, and her parents said no, wait till you're an adult. And now she's an adult, and there's no Krakoa, which
Mhm.
means 5 years have passed, 4 years, 5 years
Mhm.
have passed since Krakoa, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
because there was a Hellfire Gala every single year, and normally Marvel, especially with the sliding timeline, um, a couple years of our life are like months, if not a year of Marvel time. So like their world runs slower than ours, but in that
Mhm.
like part of time, it ran just as fast as our world. So
Mhm.
um that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this I really like like a lot of these X-Men series after Age of Revelation have been really good, and I'm really a fan. Um, you didn't read Rogue #4, right?
No, I haven't started that series yet.
Okay. I didn't know what to expect with this one. But long story short, it is really good, and the art is
Mhm.
really good. And Rogue is essentially dealing with like memories of her past, of people she hurt while she was um, in the Brotherhood of Mutants, and B, absorbing people's memories and personalities that she didn't like have full control over.
Mhm.
So it's like almost sins of her past are coming back to
Mhm.
haunt her. And she did hurt people. She hurt people. And a character that we know is a good guy, but like she did start off on the Brotherhood, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's been a really good series. I'm very surprised because I didn't know what was going to happen with her.
Yeah, that's cool that it's exploring her murky past, because that's what makes these characters interesting.
Yeah, especially
Mhm.
because like X-Men characters aren't there. A lot of them are morally gray. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
um, I like that. In the face of adversity, I don't know whether you can be like Superman all the time. You know.
Yeah, and that's why I think these heroes are necessary, of showing them from different walks of life, different backgrounds, because not everyone has a picture perfect, Smallville upbringing, and that needs to be like addressed as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, let's I know we're running out of time. Justice League Unlimited #18, that essentially kind of dives a little bit into the supervillain amnesty program
Mhm.
that the Justice League has. You got a couple sentences to talk about it before we move on?
Yes. I enjoyed this more than I thought that I would. Conceptual wise, I wasn't into it because I'm like, there are so many superheroes we don't even get to, that now we're going to bring in villains. But I like that it's not just like, oh, and then we're inviting villains and we're going to trust them. It's like, no, if they mess up, they have basically uh,
Like a Phantom Zone?
a probation officer
Yeah.
who has to like watch them, and if they screw up, then off to the phantom zone they go, like, immediately. And I love that they have that in place, because that feels realistic, and I'm like, okay, I can be open to it, of like working together, and if they screw up once, then off they go. So I like that there was thought put into it, and it wasn't haphazard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Bridging it over to Superman 37, I think what I like about this issue is that, I mean, in a world where they would demonize the villains and not let him on the Justice League, but let Superboy Prime on the Justice League would be a weird kind of like line to draw in the sand. But no, they're really Superboy Prime is being given leniency because they're lenient on all the villains, and they're trying to like hope that people will become better.
Mhm.
Are you liking? Did you like Superman 37?
I love Superman 37. I'm loving Superboy Prime almost surprisingly because I've always had, this grudge against him ever since Infinite Crisis and Connor Kent Superboy.
Same here.
I can't really let that go, but also I have to admit that it just feels like something refreshing that I haven't seen before. And I like this issue particularly because it feels realistic in a sense of like, yes, like he's trying to be a hero, but not everybody is okay with it. And that's why you have like, Power Girl like waiting outside with the other team members. Um, and that felt real to me. That it's not just like, oh, we forgive him after he did what he did. It's like he has to earn that trust. And so I like that it's not an easy road. And it's also cool seeing a character having to prove himself and almost like start at the beginning of getting a second shot at doing this the right way and like learning the lessons that he should have learned.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the meta aspect to it. I love how Mom and Pa Kent were brought in as these like caregivers. So yeah, it was a very strong story. Probably one of my favorites this week.
Um, yeah, I just don't like all the breaking the fourth wall stuff.
I
That's
do.
just not
Like
my thing.
I love meta and like it feels once again like, oh, we're going into like new territory. And we can explore things in almost a more like realistic fashion because you get to call things out when you are meta. Like yes, it takes you out of it, but also it takes you into it because
Hmm.
you can address things that say like Superman, Clark Kent can't. And to me, I just feel like I like being in uncharted waters and not knowing where it's going to go.
Yeah. I also, I mean, I know it ties in with Reign of the Superboys, but in a universe where I thought that Connor Kent was pushed to the side in
Hmm.
favor of Jonathan Kent. Now we have so many Superboys that I'm like, what's the purpose of this? We have way too many, and I need everybody to have a place,
Hmm.
and I don't feel like Connor has a place, and I need Connor to have a place. So
Yeah, that's frustrating to me as well. That Connor Kent was unceremoniously pushed aside to raise up Jonathan Kent when like he was a great character, still is a great character, and has so much potential. I feel like it does the story a disservice by not having Connor Kent and Superboy Prime hash out what happened. Like to me, like that needs to be dealt with because he literally killed him.
yeah,
But they kind of have this habit of once again pushing Connor to the side because I even feel like when Lex Luthor turned good, um, uh a while back, not too long ago, but he like had this whole like shift of personality. That was an opportunity of like having Connor Kent dealing with like, oh, here's my father figure. Like, how can I connect with him now that he's good? And unfortunately, it's like Connor is just not considered viable,
yeah,
so they don't bring him into these stories.
they forget him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got so many thoughts, but we're literally over time. So, did you read Detective Comics 1108?
No, I'm like one issue behind.
I liked this issue a lot. This could have been my pick of the week. I thought it was really strong. I also like the fact that normally we see Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman hanging out like they're best friends, but I think they're like those three, the Trinity, are like best friends with like big responsibility, like cosmic level responsibility. But Black Canary, Green Arrow, and Batman seem to me like like high school best friends. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
they grew up on the streets, right? Uh,
Hmm.
in different ways, right? They operate on the streets. A lot of them come from privilege, sure, but they're really operating as like best friends in this way. I really like this trio. I didn't think I was gonna like this, like, you know, team up between the three of them. I wasn't sure what angle they were gonna do, but
Hmm.
they really work well together. It's striking me a lot like Absolute Batman for some reason,
Hmm.
because it's like the relationships there. Like they have a relationship to Ted Grant, who is currently dead, and so like
Hmm.
there's kind of a cool thing going on there. I can't talk too much about it, but like
Yeah.
it's
I've been
it's fun.
enjoying this series a lot more than I thought that I
Yeah.
that I would be because I think it's going to go down if it keeps going this way as one of my favorite Detective Comics runs, which is high praise because I love like Paul Dini's run is to me epic. I want to go back and reread it, but this one is delivering like every issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute Flash 14, we didn't really talk about, right?
Right.
You got like one sentence about it.
Yes. Okay, boiling it down. The upside down scene was so cool. I love those things where they include these creative aspects into the comics. Mirror Master is also very cool as a villain, and I'd like that he is wanting to work with Wally to figure out what's going on. Overall, a very strong issue, and I feel like it's getting better with every issue. Like after the like 12 issue mark, it's just gotten stronger.
I agree. I think he had to get over his origin story to like break free and to like run on his own. Pun intended. You know?
Yes, you love your running puns.
It's so easy to do the puns with the Flash and like comics in general, you know. And then last but not least on our list was Green Lantern 34. Did you read this one?
I did not.
Okay. I like Kyle Rayner in LA, in Hollywood. I like it. They're really exploring the Hollywood side of things, the LA side of things, the freeway, the traffic, the you know, you're a star sort of thing going on. I don't like Kyle's new suit. I want the 90s suit back with the crab mask.
Same.
You know?
Yeah.
But
like when you have a design that perfect, you don't need to change it up, at least that drastically.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
I love it because it's the asymmetry, you know?
Yes.
Only an artist can pull that off.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. But they do have like a backup story that kind of like is interstitial with Hal teaming up with who's the female Jaina from Wonder Twins. It's such a weird team up, and I don't want them to hook up, and they need to learn from their like past Aresia stuff that like Hal Jordan, you stay away from that child. So far so good. So far so good. Jaina's not a child. Jaina's like in her 20s, but like come on, Hal. Don't like you watch yourself. So that's all I have to say. But you know, there's a reveal at the end of this issue of a character that I don't know if they've appeared in anything before, or whether this is the first appearance of some random new character that has a cool design. So I'm gonna look into that after Comic Talk. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I think that's all our list from this week. I believe that was a lot. Thank you to everybody out there who was watching. Thank you to Curly Insane Guy. Thank you to Mr. Al Kelbilan. Thank you to Wednesday Pull for hopping in. Lex, you know I love you. Would love to have you back on the show, but you know, he's a busy guy. Ashwan231 Comics, shout out to you too as well. Thank you to everybody who is watching and or listening. Before we get going, Ethan, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Yep, I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Check me out, Virgo Blade. Just more videos talking about comics, movies, and TV shows.
I love your content, man. If I don't say it enough, I should say it enough. Anyone who's not following you is an idiot. Because that's literally how I found you and brought you on a Comic Talk, and like you've been an amazing addition to the Comic Talk crew. So
thank you. That means a lot. I work hard, but I'm very hard on myself. I'm never pleased with anything that I do, so that helps me keep going.
we're in the same club when it comes to that, you know. Just know that like the Comic Talk crew, the people that we have on this show, I can't speak high enough praise, and there's nobody that I regret, you know.
They're all wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you for being a part of that, and a great example of that. So
and thank you for inviting me on here each month.
At this point, it's not even up to me anymore, you know. Even if I wanted you gone, I can't get rid of you. So
the people want me.
Can't fight that, you know. Thank you to everybody out there who's watching and or listening. If you're watching us live, you're watching us on youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Maybe you're watching us live, or maybe you're even watching the episode after the fact. I know that there's some people who do that because, you know, you can't tune in live, you can't hop in the chat, and that is A-OK. Whether you're watching us live, watching us after the fact. Maybe you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Thank you guys so much for digesting us, watching the show, listening to the show. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, help us out in whatever way you can. Write a review, write a comment, click like, whatever. We appreciate everybody out there who is watching and or listening. All that stuff is free, to show your support. But if you have a little bit of scratch and you want to show your support through our Patreon, patreon.com/thekeegshow, you can support the show through there. Pick a tier. I think we have a free t-shirt sort of situation. If you stay subscribed for like 3 months, I think you get a free t-shirt. I think it's a Keeg t-shirt. I don't know if it's a Comic Talk t-shirt, but we might make a Comic Talk t-shirt and do it through there. So, you could also see exclusive stuff that we got there on our Patreon as well. Go to comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you, support your local comic shops. They need our support. I personally go to Comic Book Hideout now. Shout out to Comic Book Hideout. I went there and I picked up a lot of comics this week, so shout out to them. Other than that, support your local public libraries. That's also a thing. They got comics there. Read your comics, love your comics, talk about comics, because that's what the community is all about. That's pretty much it. This is Comic Talk. It's every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, live, where we talk about all the new comics that came out this week, every week. So, everybody out there, thank you for watching. Thank you, Ethan, for coming on. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been Comic Talk for the week of April 23rd, 2026. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Super fast, gotta beat the boss and get the loot, 'cause it's the king.